Welcome to my triathlon friends. This video is a course preview for the Ironman California triathlon race that takes place in Sacramento, California. What you're seeing here are some video footage of the race. So we're going to talk about the course. We're going to talk about my own experience. I finished this race in 22 and 23. In 24, I spectated, and next month is the 2025 edition. This course preview covers specifically 2025, but if you're watching this in the future, then it probably is accurate for future courses as well, unless they dramatically change the course. However, if Ironman says anything that differs from this video, by all means, that information supersedes what I'm saying here. This video is really just my understanding, my memory of this course. I live in Sacramento, so I can say a few things about it. All right, so from this first screenshot, this reminds me that when you show up, you want to probably bring a headlamp. Before the race, it's going to be dark. There's probably enough light to walk around, but it'd be also nice to be able to see inside of your bags to make sure you have what you need. The lamp is great for that. Here's a line for the bus. So you can see you need to have your wristband with you at all times. That'll get you on the bus. And that's also how you get your bike out of transition after the race. Your bib number is on your wristband. It might be kind of hard to see, but it is there. So you don't have to have your actual paper bib that you run and bike with you at all times. So getting on the bus. I'm going to talk about swim, bike, and run in that order. So here we are showing up at the swim start. During this video, I'm also going to bring up Google Earth or Google Maps. It's the same map basically, and point out some of the highlights. So I have red is run, blue is bike, yellow is transition, and then green is the swim. Right here is the location of transition. Let me toggle that on. That's this white location. Usually it's just a crushed gravel lot, but when Ironman shows up, they put down the AstroTurf, so it's really easy to walk on. And as far as location goes, here is the Sacramento River. Here is the Tower Bridge, that iconic yellow bridge in Sacramento that spans West Sacramento from Sacramento. There's also the minor league baseball field and parking. So there's just a few things to look out for right there. But yeah, anyway, this is the swim exit location. This is the yellow line is the transition that you're going to run from T1 from the swim exit to the bikes. And then the swim start, you're going to take a bus from this location right here. In fact, let me bring up the athlete's guide. So here is the race webpage. I'll leave a link to this in the description of the video, but some of the main links that you may want to check out is you click on course overview. This is going to give you some information about the course. Swim is in the river, the bike and run are both flat, and then some of the approximate temperatures right here. For the swim, it's saying 63 degrees. I would agree with that. So that's a little bit colder than the average swim, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. The courses are down here. So we have swim and then bike and then run. So what I'm going to show you here is basically the same thing. The 2025 course appears to be the same as 24 and 23. Your 22 running course was a little bit different, but of course, whatever year you're watching this, by all means, check out what Ironman is saying for the course. The athletes menu, if you click on athlete schedule and pre-race info, pre-race info is where you can download the athlete's guide. Now, we're only about a month away from the 2025 race, so I'm a little surprised that the 2024 athlete's guide is all we have available here. It says it'll be available closer to the race, but regardless, whatever year you are watching this, go ahead and download that athlete's guide. And here it is, it loaded up. I'm going to be also toggling through the different pages of this athlete's guide. So we have the schedule. Again, these dates are for 2024, so don't get confused. Make sure to check the current year's athlete's guide. And then we also have course maps in here somewhere. In fact, this is probably important to mention. There is a practice swim, or at least there was this year. And if there is during the current year, then it should probably be mentioned in the athlete's guide. It looks like it was at Tiscornia Park, which is on the map right at the confluence. So here we are. Here's the park, and there's like parking here. You drive in here. Hey, you can cross the bridge and park on the Discovery Park side of the river as well. But yeah, this is a popular place to do the practice swim and just kind of get a feel for the water. Also in the PDF file, we have lots of advertisements and gear bags. You'll get 5 gear bags. This page describes what the gear bags are for, and then when to drop them off, how to use them, and where to pick them up. So each color means something different. And then there's also a map right here. So this shows the location of the bags, like the red run bag in transition, the blue gear bag, that's for bike, that's beside transition. You'll pick that up in T1. And then the orange and the black colored bags are going to be your personal needs bag for the bike and the run, respectively. And also worth mentioning, here is the ballpark. Here's the parking lot. And right here is the shuttle bus pickup location. So when you're done in transition, you have your bags dropped off and updated with all of your fuel for the day. The shuttle is picking up right here. Okay, so back to the video clip. We are now at the swim start. Here's a bunch of athletes. This is a very helpful video clip right here because it shows the athletes. We're going to basically start on this bike trail right here, and then once the race starts, you'll be ushered down this hillside. It's a dirt hillside, which I didn't have any problems walking down, but then again, I had booties on because it was low 60-degree temperatures. So the buses are going to come around and drop you off either clockwise or counterclockwise. I kind of forget which way. And then most everyone will be kind of in this general area, getting their wetsuits on, getting ready, putting their morning clothes in their morning clothes bag, which gets dropped off kind of in this area right here. I believe the porta potties were sort of on this far east end of the road here. And then we all lined up basically right here, starting with the fastest swimmers and then kind of going medium speed swimmers, slower swimmers. You seed yourself based on your expected finish time or your pace. And then right here is that dirt trail that sort of goes downhill to the water's edge. Okay, so let's go back to the video and just play some clips here of the swim start. So this is a little news clip here. You can see what people are wearing. A lot of them have long sleeve wetsuits, of course, goggles and caps, probably some neoprene caps. Some people have shoes and sandals on at this point, but they'll be swimming in either bare feet or booties. So we're getting pumped up for the race. That's good to see. All right, so we got safety and kayaks out on the river. That's good. And then here's some athletes walking down that slope. So we have booties on, mostly long sleeve wetsuits. I think I saw a short sleeve wetsuit, but just kind of know what you're comfortable with. All right. And once you're down at the water, there's not a lot of time to get ready. You kind of have to get ready, get your watch GPS set up, take a drink of water, make sure to take your sandals off. But once you're at the water, you're pretty much expected to get into one of the four lanes and then start your race when they direct you to, which I believe is every 5 seconds. Right? So the cannon goes off and the race begins. A lot of people just kind of taking their time. So this first swim buoy right here, okay, here's the swim course map. Yeah, there's not enough detail on this map right here, but basically the first half of the course, you're swimming downstream in the American River, and then the confluence with the Sacramento River, and then you continue to swim downstream to transition. But what the video shows that this map doesn't show is as soon as you start, you're expected to swim out and around the first buoy, which I may have here. Okay, I didn't like locate the specific buoys, but what they'll probably tell you is keep the buoys on your left. Again, whatever they tell you in the athlete's guide and in the athlete briefing meetings, that information supersedes what I'm telling you in this video. But basically, there's going to be a buoy somewhere out here. They're going to tell you to swim out around that buoy before you start swimming downriver. All right, so that is what this drone shot is showing right here. Oh, that was actually a better shot. There we go. So this is the shot I was looking for. It almost looks like they're swimming a little bit upstream first, which tells me you really don't need to have tinted goggles. The sun's going to be towards your back for the American River route. And then when you're swimming in the Sacramento River, the sun's going to be on your left. So just breathe right. You'll be good there. All right. More footage of the swimmers starting off. So some of the key critical points of the swim course, I would say, is the very start. Make sure you get around that first buoy. And then I would also say another critical location is when you cross under the bridges. So don't worry about the red line. That's the run. Okay, I've got that toggled off. You're swimming underneath these bridges, but I believe you have to stay on the right side of the buoys. So as you're approaching a bridge, just be heads up and make sure you don't run into one of the piers. Because if I go Google Street View and let's go to this location here. Okay, here's the river. Here is the bridge. You're going to be toggle that off. Yeah, you're going to be swimming underneath this bridge and then the next bridge, and you're going to want to avoid the piers. So just be heads up. Make sure to pick pairs of piers to swim between and then get centered there. So there's these two bridges right here, or you may call them three bridges, depending on how you count it. And then the last bridge that you swim under is right here. This is the I Street Bridge, the train bridge, and same situation. Go ahead and pick two piers to swim between, and don't run into anything. Also, a critical part of the swim is the confluence. You're going to have a different water temperature, different current, different turbidity. These are two different bodies of water that converge. Typically, the Sacramento River has higher turbidity. And as far as temperature or current, I've swam the course a number of times and cannot tell you what's going to happen on race day. I've heard people say that Sacramento River is a little bit colder, but the current is a little bit faster. So that's something to be expected by. But anyway, you're halfway through the swim at this point, approximately. So you're already sort of warmed up and good to go. The last critical point of the swim is the very ending right here. So let me zoom in here. There's this dock that goes out and over. And there's also these tiles right here. So what you're going to see in the footage in just a moment is there's going to be a red buoy here, and some kayakers to help direct the swimmers as you're swimming downstream to go into this little inlet right here. And then further downstream, I'm not sure exactly where they're going to set it up, but there's a portable like stair device where you're going to exit the water with volunteers there helping out as well. Okay, so let's go to the footage and so here you can kind of tell how bunched up it is. Yeah, it looks like they're instructed to keep the buoys to their left since here are the swimmers, here are the yellow buoys. It never really felt that busy to me when I was swimming this course. Okay, so this is kind of a cool shot. You can actually see the train crossing up above. In the foreground are two of the piers that we're going to be seeing in just a moment, but these are athletes swimming towards the camera, about to finish up their swim. And then here is the swimmers finishing up. Here are those two red buoys that I was mentioning earlier. And then there's also kayakers telling swimmers to swim between the buoys and towards the end of the swim course. All right, here we go. So, yeah, okay. So here's the portable structure that looks like there's stairs, volunteers helping swimmers out. And then here's another shot right here. So this guy looks like he's kind of going too far to the right, but there's one, two, I'm counting three main exits right here. So that's sort of what you're aiming for. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but up here, there's some swimmers that have finished these on the up ramp all the way to T1. We'll get a better picture of that in just a moment. All right, so here are the swimmers making their way up the ramp up to T1. So there's a little crisscross. Yeah, no problem. I like to actually walk for the first little bit too before I start running. And we are on our way to T1 here. All right, you can also get a feel for what the footing is. It's fine footing. You can run on it and barefoot, no problem. And this is actually a live stream. This is taken from like an hour and a half long video that Ironman put out, where they actually show all the runners coming up the ramp and then turning, making their way towards the bikes. All right, here is T1. This is T1 and T2. You can see all the red AstroTurf that's been put down. And now we start the bike course. The bike course is 112 miles. It is a two-loop course, so it's really an out and back course. It is completely flat. So I didn't even create a topography map for the run course or the bike course because the course is very flat. You're only going to be going up a short little bit at the levees a couple times, but it's only about 20 or 30 feet. The surface of the road is really good, actually. In fact, and there's also some spectator support at certain locations, but for the most part, there's not a lot of spectator support, simply because it's not a very easy location to get out to. There are lots of volunteers providing aid at the aid stations. So let's go ahead and bring up the bike map. Here is the bike map. So basically, you're going to start up here at transition, and then the course is in the southern direction. You can see the mile markers as well as identification for the aid station. See the M Martin station and then the W for the water/aid station, according to the legend. And then you're going to turn around down here at the bottom of the course and then head back up to transition and then repeat that two separate times. We go to the Google view and check out the street view. This is some things I like to do. So if I'm unsure about what the road conditions are, I'll just drag the little stick figure to the road onto a blue line or blue dot. The light blue line, not the one that I sketched in. I'll turn that off. You can see right here in West Sacramento, it's very nice and smooth. You actually have a bike lane, but further down on the course, and I would say the majority of the course does not have a bike lane. Let's go ahead and check out Jefferson, for instance, and then Street View, boom. So if I'm not providing enough detail on the quality of the road, then by all means, check out the Google Street View. This is actually really nice pavement quality, I would say. But keep in mind, there's no shoulder. It's just one lane in each direction. So there's a chance it could get busy. But for the most part, I never really felt that it was too busy or trafficy on the bike course doing this race. There are a couple locations where you have to slow down. Like for instance, there's a bridge at the very south end of the course. I'll show a photo of that a little bit later. But yeah, it's just one lane each direction. There's some spectators. There's a couple turns. Here's that bridge I was talking about. So this bridge is located towards the south end of the course. I believe it's right here when you cross over this slough onto the island right here. So yeah, you'd have to slow down just before the bridge and just after the bridge. It's a 90-degree turn. They should probably have cones set up, but if there's other bike traffic nearby, you just need to be careful about that. So there's that bridge. And it could be wet. Like in 23, it rained on and off in the second half of the race. So you can see we have some wet pavement. We have a little rainbow in the background there. This is like the only uphill example where you're going up the side of a levee to the top of the levee on River Road for a little while. Here's, I think, the same location, but a different view. But yeah, for the most part, it's flat. And you also may have noticed the wind blowing. So let me just actually play it. It was really windy in 2022, but not so much in 2023. I didn't do the race in 24. I don't think it was that windy. All the times seemed to be faster. But yeah, I think the wind typically blows in the southward direction. So I remember just going really fast my first 28 miles, but then my next 28 miles when I was going north, it was really slow. In fact, I was in my small chain ring, even though it was completely flat because the headwind was so severe. Which direction the wind is going to be on race day, I couldn't tell you, but just going to be ready for anything. So on the bike, the main challenge is not hills, but it could be wind. What you're seeing in this spot right here is halfway through the bike, the athletes are going to be doing their turnaround to begin their second loop. And the way the personal needs bags works is you're finishing up, you're coming north, and then they're going to yell out your number. What you're going to do is actually turn around. I'm not sure if that's the location. It may be a little bit further up. Actually, it might be a little bit further down. Say you turn around right here. They'll have the bike personal needs kind of in this location, at least in the years that I've done the race. And there will hopefully be a volunteer with your bag. You may have to get your bag yourself, but anyway, that's not really a huge problem when the race is 12 or 13 hours long. So this is what it looks like, volunteers finding your bag and getting what you want. You do not get the contents of your personal needs bags back, so just keep that in mind. And then here we are, done with the bike, entering T2. As you can tell, the transition is this crushed rock right here, but you have the red AstroTurf on top of the crushed rock to prevent any injury to your feet. All right, and now we are on to the run. This is a marathon run, so 26.2 miles. It's basically a two loop course. There's a little bit of off road, as you noticed here, but this is very small amount, maybe less than 5% of the running is off road. And it's only when you're crossing under a couple bridges. So I've got the red run course toggled back on. There's a little bit of off road section as you cross under Tower Bridge. And then I believe there's also another off road section crossing under the I Street Bridge, or maybe it was further up. I can't remember exactly, but it's on the West Sacramento side of the river. If we go down to the run course, okay, here's the run course map, and it's divided into different legs. So you start in transition right here. Leg one is down and back for maybe a mile or two, and then leg two is up this direction and back, and then you're going to cross over Tower Bridge, the yellow bridge, and then you're going to begin leg three, which is up to Discovery Park and back. And then leg four is, I guess, here, leg five. And then you cross over the river into West Sacramento again. Leg six, you've already done that part because it's the same as leg one. You get your personal needs bags right here. So this is about halfway through the run course. I think they may force you to go down first and then back before you get your personal needs, but I could be mistaken about that. And then you basically just repeat the process. So leg seven is up here, crossover, leg eight. And then on the second lap, you're going to take this blue line through downtown Sacramento. That's R Street. That's N Street. A little out and back through Capitol Mall, Capitol Park, L Street, and then finally the finish line. So let's watch some run video and just give some commentary here. I got video from all over the run course. So this is the Green Bridge crossing over the American River. There's the Yellow Bridge, the Tower Bridge crossing over the Sacramento River. Cross over that a few times. Okay, so this looks like Front Street headed south. This is the American River Bike Trail facing west. Lots of different locations. If you live in Sacramento and you've done the race, you know exactly where it is. This is Capitol Mall here. So these folks are on their last mile or two of the race. All right, this is Old Town Sacramento. Let me pause it real quick. So they're not going to have any parking on race day. This is the main street over here, and you'll notice that it's like cobblestones, and it's not something that you really want to run on. So most runners, I suggest run over here in the normal parking spots because it's like a normal, smooth, flat surface as opposed to the cobblestones. Another couple clips of old Sacramento here. We have the Ferris wheel, another shot on Tower Bridge, and then another shot downtown Sacramento. Here's the American River bike path. Right, another shot from the Discovery Park now. And it looks like these white barricades are used to separate the spectators from the runners on the Tower Bridge. Here's another off-road shot, and you can tell that, yeah, you're going under Tower Bridge for just a short segment here. Then there's some more paved pathways. All right, and then as you finish up the run, you may not finish until it's dark outside, like me. You can see some lights. There will be some lights. It could be rainy, of course. In 23, it was rainy, and it's be good to have a headlamp. I think Ironman was giving out headlamps last year. They were okay. They worked, but they weren't great. So, if you want to pack a headlamp for your run. And then finally, the finish line. So that pretty much does it. I included these finish line videos as a little inspiration. So you can envision yourself crossing the finish line and hitting that red carpet and being one of these folks as you complete your Ironman California race. I hope you found this course preview helpful.